You don't know what tennis is. It's a relationship. We went somewhere really beautiful together.
In today's movie, we got a lot of, tennis balls, and tennis balls, they go like this.
How will he ever recover from this?
Hi, welcome to Bomb Squad Matinee. I am your host and master of ceremony, Tanner Richard Kraft. And with me I have...
Tanner, you just did the tennis ball POV shot. Hi, I'm Shannon Sullivan.
Hi, I'm Tennis the Menace.
See, this is so crazy. Batman's made Gotham. And if you couldn't tell by the tennis references, god damn it, now my cable's all fucked up. Sorry. We're talking. We're in the midst of our little Oscar catch-up section of the podcast, which means we're talking about a movie today that is probably not going to be nominated for a single Oscar, but it is one of the best movies of last year. That's right. We're talking about one of 17 movies Luca Guadagnino released this year, Challengers. The two men, women, Zendaya, a lot of kissing. I do love that kissing, sir. But before we get into our thoughts on Challengers overall, our warm-up question is that Challengers depict something that we see in a lot of movies, a love triangle. Even better, it's a proper triangle and not just a V.
Yeah.
And in honor of that, I think our warm-up question today is, what's your favorite love triangle in a movie? Tim, we'll start with you.
So you kind of just set me up for this, but yeah, I was just gonna start my thoughts by kind of going over what I think makes a proper love triangle, which is I think that all three parties need to have some chemistry between each other. Can't just be like two people pining after one person. I was looking at some lists, and some of them were literally just like somebody in a committed relationship cheats and has an affair. That's not a love triangle. Titanic's not a fucking love triangle. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think for a proper love triangle, there has to be some chemistry between all three parties, which is why my favorite love triangle is Final Fantasy VII. The love between Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith is palpable. But if we're specifically talking movies, I really don't think there's much that gets better than Challengers in this particular category. But since I can't talk about that, I'm gonna go with another movie called Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. This is a biopic on the creator of...
Damn it! That was my answer.
Sorry,
that was the only one I could think of.
Sorry, bud. We're just gonna go all in on Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman today. It's a good movie, a good depiction of a love triangle. One of the only like really serious depictions of polyamory in a positive light. It's the story of the creator of Wonder Woman and the creator of the lie detector test, and his throuple with his wife and the woman who would kind of inspire the character of Wonder Woman. It's an interesting film. Tanner liked it too. Good love triangle movie. Sorry, Tanner, back to you.
I saw Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman in theaters. It was me and like this old couple, and I think the old couple left halfway through.
Ooh.
One of the few times I remember seeing a movie basically by myself. It was that Tom Hanks movie, A Hologram for the King, which is the first time anyone has said those words since that movie came out. And
that up, right? That's
no,
fake.
No. So there's this Tom Hanks movie where like he gets a job selling like hologram technology to the king of Saudi Arabia. And then he falls in love with a Muslim woman while there and decides to stay in Saudi Arabia. There's a very funny scene where he sneaks into what's the term when all the Muslims go to the Mecca?
The pilgrimage, right?
Is it the pilgrimage? I wasn't sure. There's a scene where Tom Hanks, a white man, sneaks into his Muslim friend's car to do a pilgrimage, which is very funny. Sorry to derail the podcast. I think Austin specifically needed to know this existed.
But before we move on, though, I just want to say your specific reaction to my pick would have been my reaction if I had been on the Conclave episode, because Wag the Dog was 100% gonna be my answer.
Fuck yeah, baby! Wag the Dog 2024! So proud of this, but yeah, I'm also proud of you two for competing for the affection of the same movie. I'm glad you guys...
Let's go!
Jesus Christ.
You can go, Austin.
For my money, Starship Troopers is the best love triangle movie. Back to you, Tanner.
Wait, what? I didn't even catch what you said.
Starship Troopers, baby!
Good answer, good answer.
Yeah, but for my money, and I'm gonna make some well-informed challengers' heads kind of groan with this one, but my pick would be Y Tu Mama Tambien. Genuinely, I can hear your eyes rolling through time and space right now. I know lots of reviews on YouTube compared this movie to Y Tu Mama Tambien, but think about it. That might just be the best love triangle movie ever made, or at least a genuinely novel take on the concept. In Y Tu Mama Tambien, it's these two machismo Mexican teenagers, Julio and Tanak, who have all the makings of bullshit guys. They are wildly possessive of their girlfriends, but secretly, they've each fucked the other one's girlfriends. They posture, they grandstand, they try to act tough, and they get up to all the regular, like, teenage hothead shit. And then, bam, they meet Louisa, played by the Flash's mom, back when she was in her early 30s. And she decides to party with these two morons, because she found out Tanak's older cousin was actually, like, getting sauced and cheating on her. They go on a road trip together in search of this fake beach that the two boys made up trying to sound cool at a wedding. One thing that's really novel about Y Tu Mama Tambien, besides its surrendered NC-17 rating, is that Louisa isn't super opposed to the idea of sleeping with both of these guys. They're wrapped up in all this huffy, hyper-masculine Mexican teenager bullshit, and she has to constantly go out of her way to lift them above that mindset so that they can enjoy the good things on the trip, herself included. She wants them to appreciate their youth, and so she can vicariously live through them while battling their shitty young man instincts. The whole thing leads up to them finally having a three-way, and then she vanishes into the sunset. And as incredible as all of that is, a love triangle movie that's actually about embracing the triangle part, like you guys said, the ending of Y Tu Mama Tambien is one of those things that sticks with you forever. You find out why Louisa fought so hard to have a beautiful road trip with these two random, unserious guys. And the movie takes on this completely different shape right at the end. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, and its approach to sexuality is very refreshing if you have spent a lifetime trapped with American films. But yeah, that's my actual answer, Starship Troopers. Back to you, Tanner.
Good answer. Good answer. Yeah. So, unfortunately, it is incredibly difficult to think of proper love triangle movies. As opposed to Love V movies. There are a lot of great Love V movies, though, of course. Perhaps one of them most famous of all time, The Graduate, kind of is like that. There's 90s cult classic Reality Bites. That's a pretty good example. There's maybe the most famous love triangle of all time, The Apartment from 1960.
Wild Things, right?
Huh?
Wild Things with Denise Richards.
Yeah, that's a good example. There's a lot of good answers. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was only half listening to Austin's answer as I'm frantically Googling over here for an answer I find acceptable. And I can't find one. So instead, I'm compromising and I'm picking a movie I saw once when I was 17, been meaning to rewatch it, remember liking it, and I'm only picking this one because it's really obscure.
Oh,
there we
Race
go.
Hunters,
I am
the
picking.
love story. Nice.
If only, no. I am picking a British film from 1971 called Sunday Bloody Sunday. A movie that was quite ahead of its time because the titular character, the one that the two people are not titular. Wrong word. There's not a man named Sunday Bloody Sunday. Sorry. But like the character that both sides are pining over that want in their life is a bisexual man. There's a man and a woman competing for the same guy. This is in a movie that came out in 1971. Very ahead of its time. It received 4 nominations at that year's Academy Awards for, get this, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, not picture.
Oh, man.
Which is kind of crazy. I don't know how many movies have gotten nominated in 3 of the big 5 categories and also screenplay and didn't get Best Picture. Not that common.
Yeah, biphobia has been around for longer than we could imagine.
But point being is that it's a really great movie. I haven't seen it in 10 years. I should probably rewatch it. Austin, you should watch it. You would love it. Yeah. Especially, because get this. So at the center, it's a bisexual man. There was the woman is this divorced recruitment consultant, but the guy that's in love with our bisexual man, Austin, my friend, it's a gay Jewish doctor.
Oy vey, that's my shit. That's my people. Oh, I love gay Jews. Bisexual.
It's a great movie. Great movie. Go watch it if you can. It's a classic. Like I said, this movie depicts a bisexual man at its center, and it's over 50 years old. Very ahead of its time.
The 70s were pretty woke if you think about it. I really like this movie called Score from 1976. It's a love square. It's about 2 married couples that each want to fuck every other person in the equation. It's so solid, very funny. Look it up on porn sites.
Isn't that just Swingers?
Is that Swingers? I've never seen it.
I meant like the concept of swinging. I forgot that a movie called Swingers existed.
Why can't we add more points to this shape, you know? What about a love pentagon? How would that work?
Oh my God. Austin, wake up. They hit the love pentagon. They hit the love pentagon.
Yeah, that's a thing. What was it? I was watching this movie called Thundercrack. Have either of you ever heard of this?
No, but I've seen Thundercock.
Well, I watched that documentary Scala about that old British movie theater that came out this year, and apparently every 3 weeks they would play this movie called Thundercrack as like a bit, and it's fucking crazy how explicit this movie is. The 70s had a lot more sex in cinema that it's like a thing that's been memory hold. Like Behind the Green Door, this is a fact that Pete Timmerman used to bring up in film class. It's basically a porn, and it was also one of the highest grossing movies of 1973, I think. I'm sure I'm getting the year wrong.
It's John Cena's favorite guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah. Movies used to have sex in them. Movies used to be horny.
No, it's true. It's true. Especially in the 70s. I mean, Taxi Driver showed that it was normal for even couples on the first date to go to the porno theater. That was my primary takeaway from Taxi Driver. Anyway, we've gotten way off track here. Listen, I went to New York City. I went to a porno theater every day. Anyway, that is warm up. What did we think of Challengers? That movie, tennis, a lot of tennis. I do like that tennis, sir.
You know you have a tick, right? Before you throw the ball up, you place it in the exact center of the neck of the racket.
Okay, fine, yeah, do that. If you fucked.
Austin, what'd you think of Challengers?
Okay, I'm gonna start off with a joke just for Ethan. Man, I can't believe they made an Aim for the Ace movie and made it so anti-ace. Damn.
Let's go.
That's right, Challengers! A movie about how sexy it can be to knock some balls around with the homies. I am a diehard fan of this movie's director, Luca Guadagnino, partially because his Suspiria remake spawned more good Radiohead songs than Radiohead's most recent album did. Luca is no stranger to capturing America's attention with his erotic pictures. I, for one, remember when praising Call Me By Your Name was like the cool thing to do around film school people, even though now it just gets you put on a watch list. And based on the way that Zoomers on Twitter reacted to this movie, Challengers, I think he's conjured up a more palatable version of eroticism. A type of horny that is relatable to the generation that statistically seems to be getting the least actual fucking done. Perhaps the secret ingredient was this screenwriter, Justin Koretskis, a man who clearly possesses a knack for subtlety. I think it's got to be mentioned in every serious review of this film that Justin made one of the most shared YouTube skits of all time with just PG-rated dialogue and an iMovie filter. Not to mention, I think you need serious emotional intelligence to lock down the director of Past Lives and Holy Matrimony, right? But also notice this commonality here. In both Past Lives and Challengers, the goofier looking white dude gets the girl. He's telling us who he is. We just have to pay attention. But Challengers had like this vaguely European trick up its sleeve, because this isn't just like Bull Durham with tennis players. The Zoomers aren't tweeting up a storm for some like hetero love triangle. This movie's trailer, guys. Remember, this movie's trailer played for months before April 26th rolled around.
I think in some theaters it's still playing.
And audiences, what were they calling this movie before it came out?
Oh my God, Mike Face and Josh O'Connor are about to kiss? That's what I was calling it.
This was the Zendaya threesome movie. Go look up old comments. People thought this was the movie where Zendaya gets fucking, Eiffel Towered or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So imagine my fucking surprise when that scene turns into, from two dudes making out with Spider-Man's girlfriend, into two straight guys making out, getting into it, full French kissing each other. I absolutely love it when a movie's trailer, kind of primes you to expect the wrong thing. Hereditary did this, Smile 2 did this, but instead of blood and guts, this time, the secret reveal was bisexuality. And it's also a powerful emotional thing. The dynamic that this movie builds between Josh O'Connor and Mike Feist, a little personal background I gotta get into. Even though I was a swimmer when I was younger, I spent a great deal of my life in a sort of contrarian defiance to the love of sports. I didn't watch sports socially, and I kind of took it so far as to not even watch movies about sports if I had a choice. But sometimes you get sucked in by something about baseball or football, just cause the myth making around those two is so effective in America. But tennis? How did Luca G and the fucking potion seller guy from YouTube, how did they expect to sell a movie about this really stuffy rich people sport? They did it by playing off of the special core emotions that drive the athletes. Emotions that you can have outside the context of tennis. In fact, I think I heard a quote that Luca said he's not even that interested in tennis. The base one that puts the butts in the seats for this movie is sexuality. Tashi is like this ball bouncing back and forth between stability and passion. She represents success, a point scored, the victory of one style of dude over the other. But the real emotional draw of Challengers is when stability and passion stop competing for success and they lock arms as fucking soulmates. Think back through your experiences. Have you ever met somebody who could just perform perfectly alongside you? That complimentary person who moves in sync with exactly the way you are. I've not forgotten all the tweets about the chair. There's this one small scene where Art goes to sit down and Patrick gracefully drags a chair with his right foot to create this perfect moment where the ass makes contact with seat and they share some churros together. That's one of the most fundamental, beautiful, and intimate things I can imagine happens to athletes. Partially because it is so similar to finding a sexual partner. Finding the perfect person to play doubles with. And because bisexuality and polyamory are illegal in the United States, we spend 2 hours just waiting for them to hug. And for anybody who doesn't want to process the intense emotions of this movie deep in their souls, there are rad fucking Trent Reznor beats and some really complicated shots. people said Creed 3 was like a live action anime, but Challengers definitely returned the serve. Another win for Luca in my book. I'm glad this movie made $96 million, because if you flip that number upside down, it's funny. Challengers is a great 8 out of 10 movie. I'd recommend it to anyone out there who's horny, because horny people are owed some entertainment in this 4-quadrant, PG-13, tentpole, corporate hellscape. Back to you, Tanner.
All great stuff. I appreciate that you bring up Justin Koretsky's, and how he's Celine Song's husband, which brings up a very important point in my mind. Celine Song's first big movie was about that weird kind of three-way love triangle. Justin's was about the weird three-way love triangle. I want to see the third guy make his movie now. We got the woman in a relationship. We got the man in the relationship. I want to see the guy that got cucked. I want to see this from his perspective.
And the movie ends with him just watching, like, tennis, just watching Wimbledon or some shit. Just sitting there eating, like, fucking ice cream over in, like, Korea or wherever.
It should be called Challenging Lives. That is what we'll be calling this movie.
That actually worked out perfectly.
Because being the guy cucked in this three-way is a challenge. Tim.
Truly.
We're skipping you. You're not talking anymore. Sorry. No, I kid. Tim, what did you think of Challengers?
So, I mean, really, this is a movie about two gay boys who meet Zendaya and decide they need to risk it all. And whom amongst us can really say they wouldn't risk it all for Zendaya? I say this as an engaged man whose fiance would probably also risk it all for Zendaya. This is a good picture. A lot of horniness. Everything Austin said rings true. It's a really fascinating kind of look at the romantic and sexual chemistry between all three of these people that you don't really get in a lot of movies. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, like the question of best love triangle in fiction, like there's really not a lot better than this movie, the way it does it. At least not in American films. Yeah, because we're a bunch of prudes. But this is a great movie. Luca Guadagnino. I'm not super familiar with his work, but I do love his Suspiria remake, and I love this movie. Love the fucking Trent Reznor score, like Austin said. The cinematography is fascinating. Like there's a bunch of shots that just live in my head rent free. Like we referenced the tennis ball POV shot, which is just nuts. Just an insane thing to do in a movie. There's the split diopter like post made in post shot of the three of them. That one sticks out in my mind a lot. There's this one shot that like really sticks out for me, and it's just like the shot from underneath the tennis court of them both standing. Yeah, it very, 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 very good, very fascinating camera work and just composition in this movie. Great performances. It is very, very entertaining. Every time one of them just gets pissed off and breaks a racket or yells fuck, and the moderator is just like, penalty. But my favorite one of those, though, is like right before he does the serve thing, and he's just standing there for like 2 minutes, and they're like, you need to play. They're having this moment that like feels like it's made just for like the viewer, but the guy's really literally just like, dude, you gotta move. Very, very, very entertaining stuff. It's just a real good picture. What is there to say that hasn't already been said? This one game, set, match. Back to you, Tanner.
All great stuff. Great stuff. You talk about the shots that stick out in your mind. And I definitely think there are a lot of shots that stick out of my mind. The primary shot that sticks out of my mind is the shot of Art with his penis sticking out because he has a boner, and Patrick just smacks the shit out of it. That's what sticks out in my mind, is how funny that is. And also, you see that and you go, oh,
yeah,
no. All right, guys. I committed a bit of a faux pas with this podcast. I'll be upfront with y'all. I haven't actually seen... No, I'm kidding. But I wanted to rewatch Challengers before the recording. I didn't. So I haven't seen this shit since April. So bear with me. I was busy selling drugs. Anyway, I fucking love Challengers a lot. I'll keep it brief since I can't really get into details again because I haven't seen it in a minute. But in short, performances all around are brilliant. Zendaya, Mike Face, but I really love Josh O'Connor in this movie. I think he's really brilliant. The screenplay is really impressive. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it is one of the more interesting tennis movies ever made. A lot of sports aren't super cinematically interesting. The only cinematically interesting sports are boxing and baseball. So this is one of the few cinematically interesting like tennis movies I've ever seen. I think the stuff they do with the camera is fucking insane. I will regularly look up the third, like the climax tennis match when it's that tennis POV shot that then turns into that crazy overhead shot. Mm-hmm. I'll look at that a lot. Because I love it. I love the non-linear style that the story is told. I think it's really interesting. I love how fucking windy it is when Tashi steps out and cheats on Art. And it's the windiest day in the history of mankind. I think about that a lot. I like that I saw this movie on like a Monday night and my entire theater was like hooting and hollering like they would with a Marvel opening weekend. That was fun. And I think the most impressive thing about this movie has to be the Trent Reznor Atticus Ross score. This is one of the more unique scores they've ever done. It is one of the best ones they've ever done, and it is in a it's basically tied for first place for my favorite score of the last year. Between it's either Challengers or The Brutalist for me. Both have really fantastic scores, and I just saw The Brutalist, so that one's more fresh in my mind, so I'm inclined to give it to that. But then I remember that Challengers, the soundtrack to this movie regularly became music I put on when I went to the gym to work out. So it's pretty good for that. In short, there's a reason it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of the year. Brilliantly acted, brilliantly written, brilliantly directed, brilliant score, and it has a really funny shot where someone gets hit in the boner. And really, isn't that what the movies are about? Watching a guy get hit in the dick?
Or so back.
That's what the movies are about. But I'm sure we all have a little more to say, and we'll get right into it for some general discussion after a brief commercial break. Bye. Welcome back from that ad break for another ad. See that shit? See that shit? That's a movie palette. Primary color of every frame of some of your favorite movies. Slice it up, put it all in a row. One behind me is from Punch Drunk Love. One Tim's pointing to is Mandy. You can order one for Challengers or any one of your favorite movies, and if they don't already have it listed, for a little extra money, you can get it custom ordered. So go ahead, pick out your palette, add it to your cart, but before you check out, make sure you enter that code SQUAD15. Save 15% on your order. Thank you, back to the show. All right, general discussion time.
So I'll start us off. I have what may be a hot take, just an opinion that I had about this movie. Which is that I talked about the serve thing he does towards the end. I kind of wish before that we didn't see for sure that they had sex. I'm not saying cut the windy kiss. I'm not saying cut the walk of shame. Maybe cut the bit of them in the car. Right. Just so, like, we're wondering, did they or didn't they? And then he fucking does the serve thing, and you're like, oh, shit!
That could have been something.
Yeah, that would have improved the scene. It's weird because this is like nice 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, very like universally agreed on, pretty good movie. But I actually agree with that, because you could still, make it seem, convey that Zendaya wants to go back to Patrick, without like, while leaving it up to the audience is like, how far did they go? Because like a married woman kissing somebody in the wind, that's something you could move past. But sleeping with him again, holy fucking shit, that's nuclear. And that would have improved the film.
I think even if we don't know for sure that they slept together, like we still have that walk of shame back to the hotel room. Like even if we think they just kissed and that's it, like she still feels awful about what she did. So I think that scene would still work. And just work even better when you know that they had sex.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on this, actually. I understand where you're coming from, but to me, the brilliance of that part is the fact that Luca Guadagnino is, apologies for the crude term here, is literally edging us when like Patrick is taking 50 fucking years to actually serve, so much so that he gets a penalty called on him for delaying the game so goddamn much. And we as the audience member, that only works, the sort of edging part only works because we know for sure he fucked her. I think the waiting part would have been more irritating and annoying than, oh, come on, if we weren't 100% sure. That's just me, but that's where I'm coming from.
Maybe.
I want to talk about that edging. So I also
great Blink 182 song.
I also kind of brought this up in the roundtable review. There aren't any eye-popping sex scenes in this, like you get with stuff like Basic Instinct, The Dreamers, Blue is the Warmest Color. Like people.
Blue is the warmest color. Okay.
It's got sex scenes.
You're right. I just, boy, is it sex scenes.
I think that this is kind of related to, like, young people love this movie. Or at least the impression I get from Twitter is that, like, people, early 20s, mid 20s fucking love challengers, right? You think there's some relation, like, why are these people who statistically are having way less sex these days? Like, I saw a chart that since, like, 2008, 18% more dudes haven't had sex in a year, or say they haven't had sex on a year, and it's like 8% more women or something like that. Why is this generation who's having way less fucking really into this movie about edging? Like, what is psychologically going on here where like this is the type of horny that they're comfortable with and cool to talk about? Do you think these things are tied together at all?
I think that Generation Z, as a generation, is comprised of tens of millions of people, and because of that, they have differing opinions on things. But because there are tens of millions of them, there are millions of people on either side of the aisle. I don't think the people that are so anti-sex are the same people that are eating up challengers.
You think just like the horny Zoomers like came out from under a rock for this one? They're like, finally, some good fucking tennis. Oh yeah.
Kinda. I like, obviously there, when it comes to the Venn diagram, there is some overlap. I am sure there's the weird sex repressed Zoomers, the Puritans, if you would, that also are loving this. I'm sure that crossover exists. I just don't think it's a meaningful number of people that you can draw any overwhelming conclusion from, other than, people be weird.
I have this theory that what made this movie a hit for a lot of young people is that at its core, Challengers is about two dudes who love each other and get sidetracked by a supermodel. Like, audiences would rather, I think, see a movie that leads up to 1K hug rather than watch dudes get, like, full-blown naked with a lady. When folks see a lady getting naked with a guy, they think of Me Too. They think of, like, horror stories women have told them and all the articles they've read about the need for intimacy coordinators and the exploitative nature of porn. But when they see two dudes getting gay, even graphically gay, they think of how brave and subversive it is. Articles about representation, free of, like, the Me Too era complications of women potentially having a really bad time. Some people joked that like sex is back on the menu when this came out, and maybe it is. But Challengers, I don't think did anything to really like forward that agenda the way it was in the 70s. We may have explicivity return to the multiplex, but it'll be for things like Love Lies Bleeding or All of Us Strangers. Right. I'm not sure most young people have reconciled with the idea of like men and women getting horny on screen again. And then this kind of reminds me of that. I think people gravitate more towards this a lot more because the story between the two dudes is more the emotional core of the movie, and Tashi's just doing business. And
you know what, that's a fair point. And I also think as far as like you're talking about you tapping on the fact that it's two men instead of a man and a woman. I think while obviously men and women love this movie, I do think the primary demographic for this movie has been women. And I think while obviously it is not as big a problem as men fetishizing women in this regard, there are a lot of straight women that do love to fetishize gay relationships between men. It's very different than when men fetishize women in that situation. It's much more sexual. There's like a romantic fetishization. With the sexual component when women do that. And I wonder if maybe that is part of it, because I think even the Puritans with the obsession of like, and obviously I'm not a sociologist, this is kind of all surface level stuff, but there is a potentially an overlap there with the sex conservative Zoomers that are radically pro LGBTQ, and they're finding that lane through almost, and they don't realize they're doing, but fetishizing same-sex relationships of the opposite gender. Again, traditionally more dangerous, more problematic when men do that, but obviously it's bad on both sides. And I wonder if that's part of it. Fucking making me sociology posting up in this bitch. I can't believe it. I've been tricked.
Tim, you want to get lassoed into the shitstorm? You want to put something on the record?
You want to get canceled, Tim?
let's go. Get canceled right here.
This movie does have something close to a sex scene, though, and were you about to say something before I say the next sentence?
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna, kind of go. I think a lot of interesting points have been made. I do think that the relationship between the two men is definitely a factor in what makes it interesting, especially because they show at the beginning of like their friendship, like they're really close, but it's not just a friendship. Like there's no heterosexual explanation for that first tennis match. Let's be honest.
There's absolutely there is some gay tension between the two of them. It's not just like, oh, here's a good unproblematic men loving platonically men relationship type thing. No, there's like some gay tension there for sure. I agree.
They did a masturbation tutorial, together, like bros.
All the way apart because they're gay.
The one thing, this movie's sex scene, to sort of veer off topic, one thing I really love about the sex scene in the dorm, or what is about to become a sex scene before it's interrupted, is there are a lot of movies where sex is interrupted and there's like a line about like, all right, the sex is off, the mood has been killed. What I love about this, and maybe the music kind of is what makes this happen so effectively, is going from the intense enough emotions that you're about to full-blown do penetrative sex to we are fighting and screaming at each other and potentially doing irreparable damage to our relationship. I loved that they just organically had it just kind of go that way, because you don't see that in movies often, and that feels like a very real thing. It's incredible the way the two actors handled something that delicate, because it seems completely organic. Like, you're actually, like, these people are really into it, and then these people are about as far out of it as you can possibly get. They may not talk after this. It's fucking beautiful watching that evolve.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, it is interesting seeing, like, the beginning of the relationship thing where, it seems like they're, just kind of having a fun little competitive nature with each other, and it just gradually gets more and more toxified over the course of the next couple flashbacks. until we get Patrick get the fuck out of here. Also, just very funny every time they're trying to get into any kind of sexual situation with Zendaya. She just is immediately just talking about tennis, because that's what she's into. That's what she's into. It's all about drive. It's about
as
power.
an autistic man, I have absolutely in the middle of sex gone. So this Star Wars thing.
I thought you were gonna do the Goodwill Hunting thing where you try to argue that Tashi is autistic, like the tennis is her special thing.
No, I just get ruining sex because you can't keep your fucking mouth shut. 100%.
She's a tennis autist.
I've 100% been about to bone, and then I just go, Glup Shitto and something. Jeremy Allen White, Grotto, Rada, the Hutt, fucking Star Wars bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and then she's already left my apartment. Who amongst us, fellas? Who amongst us?
Yeah, this is a sort of roundabout way to discuss something, but I want to bring this up. I kind of compare Luca Guadagnino in my head to Denis Villeneuve, because they're both these guys with vaguely European-sounding names who are now like big-time studio-backed art directors. But I've never met a single soul who has seen the movies they made back in their home countries. And for Villeneuve, by home country, I actually mean Canada. But here's what I wanted to talk about. Challengers and Dune have something in common. Besides a little white boy who's trying to get his fuck on with Spider-Man's girlfriend, they both have some shit happen before the studio logos pop up at the front. I absolutely love that shit. Just dropping an audience into the movie without warning. People get
open, if you would.
People get really accustomed to the logos coming up first thing. So when you hit them with the fucking Sonic Car mantra, or like two dudes playing tennis in super slow motion, it's unbelievably rad. And more movies should do that. Oh, and one more thing. Guadagnino actually popped up on the set of Dune 2 because he had to grab some lines from Zendaya, so that's like the third thing they have in common. He had to come over to the stand and be like, hey, can I get you to say tennis again, please? Do you think this movie would make a decent double feature with King Richard?
No. No.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hold on. No. However, you've given me an idea. King Richard is famously in the movie that Will Smith finally won his acting Oscar for. The night he won his acting Oscar was also the night he slapped Chris Rock. I'm not relitigating that. I'm not talking about that beyond the fact that it happened. So here's what we do. We take the video of Chris Rock slapping Will Smith, right? We shrink him, rotoscope it. We put it in this movie, and we make Will Smith slap Art's boner. It'd be very funny.
And we can keep the audio exactly the same.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. But I married her.
Jesus Christ.
It's Jason Bourne. Yeah.
Take a look at this boner I've got.
People be saying this.
Did you guys know that most of the, all the balls in this movie were CGI?
That 100% makes sense.
I thought those were Mike Face's real testicles.
on the tennis balls, people talk about, I heard somebody say sometime, how awkward it must have been for Rami Malek filming Bohemian Rhapsody, being in front of this huge crowd of people when you could barely sing, just basically miming, pretending being Freddie Mercury. But man, imagine shooting a tennis film where every day on set the balls are invisible. Do you think that would be fun?
Yeah. It'd be fun, but imagine being on the set and the balls are inert.
Piccolo merged with Kami.
This is just me trying to make Austin laugh.
That does bring up something, like we were talking about the cinematography, and the balls being CGI brings up something interesting, that a lot of the shots that are just head on of people hitting tennis balls go directly into the camera. Which is interesting. And 100% you would need to get CGI to do that, because then you'd be breaking an Alexa or
Or
whatever.
the most expensive movie ever made.
We need 12,000 Alexas on this set. We're gonna
break them.
Chris Nolan makes a tennis film. Fuck.
That's actually, it's called The Odyssey, but it's actually, it's gonna be Tennis Odyssey.
Super Mario Tennis Odyssey.
Super Mario Tennis Odyssey and Knuckles.
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry.
The Devil May Cry series. And brand
the
new
Ol-
Funky Mode
At the Olympic Games.
for Nintendo GameCube.
The balls going straight to the camera. That is one of those things, because people who don't make films, or people who, I genuinely think there's a certain, like, day when you're on set trying to make a serious movie where it occurs to you how certain things that just completely passed you by were actually super fucking tough to film. I had this when I was on my first film set with actual, like, cinema-ish cameras, like a Red One. You know, it's a lot more stressful than making a camcorder movie or a DSLR movie with your friends. And a friend of mine, the cinematographer, brought up, he's like, remember that shot in Breaking Bad where you see, like, the papers and Walt's, like, you know, like it's shot from through a see-through wall? And I was like, yeah. And then it slowly dawned on me what you'd actually have to do to get that image. But when you're watching it, your brain's just like, yeah, the camera's in the wall. Cool. And it's... The balls flying at the lens is one of those things. It's just like, oh yeah, this is perfect. They're just whacking it straight at the camera guy. And it's like, no, actually, this is 1,000 times more complicated than you can imagine.
It's the great joy of being a filmmaker and a filmmaker that you can watch movies, and yes, you don't let it influence your opinion on the movie that much. But at the same time, you can sit there and be like, God damn, I know it took them fucking forever to pull that one off.
Yeah.
It took them 8 months to film just the last 10-minute scene, the tennis match. That took 8 months to fucking film. Or I heard it was 8 months. Maybe it was 8 weeks. Fuck. Because I thought production was...
8 weeks, because 8 months sounds like
eyes wide
a
shut.
long time. Movies don't usually last that long.
It took them 8 weeks.
That's a Kill Bill fight against the Crazy 88 shoot time.
They spent 8 months shooting the last 10 minutes and 3 days shooting the rest of it.
It took them 8 weeks just to film that last match. The one shot that everybody talks about. The only behind-the-scenes information we have about Challengers, because there's nothing on the Blu-ray. It's that shot where the camera turns into a tennis ball. What they did was... they got an Alexa LF, because the rest of the movie shot on film. But for this, they're like, nope, we're shooting on digital. But they got the LF, like the big boy. They put it on a 30-foot techno crane, and they shot like 8 hours of footage around the fucking tennis court, which they had to fully replace with CGI in the end, because enough time went by that the lighting completely changes over the actual plate. Then, it's fucking crazy. They had LiDAR cameras. They got the depth of the fucking... LiDAR is a camera that films depth instead of light. They fucking did so much just to get this. They had to CGI in the two actors' faces on these doubles. These double guys who would stand there for 8 fucking hours doing all the weird shit. Like, it is a... go read the VFX breakdown of that shot. They did fucking everything to get that shot. It is buck wild. Probably one of the most complicated VFX shots of the year. And it's in the fucking tennis movie!
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just an absolutely fucking wild shot.
You ready for some alternate casting, boys?
Let's go.
For the role of Art Donaldson, the one that was played by Mike Feist. Feist?
I've heard Feist, like the singer.
Feist! Mike Feist. That makes a lot more sense. Apparently some actors, I don't think they were offered, but were considered, include Austin Butler and Timothy Chalamet. I'ma say it, I think both of those guys are too famous.
And it would fuck up the hotness dynamic, because Art's supposed to be a bit goofy looking.
Yeah. And for Josh O'Connor, apparently Dominic Fike, Austin Abrams, and Jacob Elordi were all considered for Patrick Zweig. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who the hell is Austin Abrams? I don't know. Apparently he was in Wolves from this year.
Oh, was he the naked guy who they're chasing down?
He was the kid. He's the kid. Jacob Elordi would be very funny because in this movie, Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, they're about the same height. I think Jacob Elordi is like 7 inches taller than Mike Feist. As a matter of fact, I'm going to check that. Mike Feist, how tall are you, sir? Certainly their IMDb will tell me. Yeah, Mike Feist is... Okay, I would not have guessed this. He's 6 feet tall even.
Okay.
But Jacob Elordi is 6'5".
What all those alternate castings tell me is that there was some, like, anti-Austin discrimination going on by the casting director.
Yeah.
I can't help but notice this could have been the Ballad of the Two Austins fucking Spider-Man's girlfriend, and they just opted instead to go with some normal dudes. That sucks. I'm gonna go contact the League of Austins, and we're gonna all shit ourselves.
The League of Extraordinary Austins.
Listen, the Austins and the Timothys were discriminated against in this film. We riot.
But yeah, there was Zendaya was Tashi was always going to be Zendaya.
Yeah.
And they
Is
paid
from
her,
what I understand.
They paid her $10 million fucking dollars to do this movie.
What?
Yep, that was her paycheck.
This
$10 million.
movie only cast 55 million.
Yep. It's like a Red One situation. A massive fraction of the budget just went to one of the stars, which, you know, isn't super out of the ordinary. It's just like, does Zendaya, does she really put that many butts in seats that she needs a fifth of the budget?
I don't think this movie makes... here's the thing. It made 96 million back out of a $55 million budget.
Woo!
Combine that with streaming and everything, it probably has broken even. I don't even think it cracks 50 million at the box office without Zendaya. That definitely added something. Because, like you said it yourself, what were they calling this? The Zendaya threesome movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. So she's enough of a star to at least get it. I don't know if she puts the butts in seats, but her presence helps market it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of who they'd replace her with, like Sydney Sweeney, Anya Taylor-Joy. It just wouldn't work as well.
Well, I think it has to be a black woman because, I mean, Justin Kurtz says it himself. When it comes to women's tennis nowadays, it's kind of silly if you're not talking about black women.
That's fair.
Considering, you know, the Williams sisters, bringing back to King Richard, have been dominating tennis for basically the entire 21st century.
Right.
So,
yeah, it would be like making a show that has political themes and not including AOC in it. Like you know, you make a tennis movie, you got to put a Serena Williams stand-in in there.
when are we gonna stop putting AOC representations in our movies and TV shows? I know it's only been like 7 years, but I'm fucking sick of this shit already. Every time, listen, I love AOC. She's great. Whatever. Pick a different politician.
Make Sarah Palin come back.
Well, okay, hold on a minute. Sarah Palin peaked in What's Nailin' Palin.
Fucking Christ. Fucking Christ.
Again, that one was just for Austin. And if you understand that joke, you too are full of sin. I like how they like moan when they're playing tennis. I can't listen to that last scene in public too loud or else someone's gonna look at me funny.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of tennis, but like the clips I've seen, like, yeah, people are basically just screaming when they're whacking those balls.
Yeah, they're more screaming, but in this one, he's like, you know, when they hit the ball, you go,
Yeah, it do begin pretty explicitly sexual towards the end.
what you know, sports is sex after all. Guys, everything in movies is sex, actually.
That's true.
Except sex. Sex is a metaphor for something else.
It's cigars. It's a metaphor for cigars.
There you go.
Oh.
All right, I think we're running out of steam here unless anyone else has anything they want to bring up.
There's a tweet I like where a guy said, dating apps aren't working for me anymore. I'm going to start sitting next to couples at Challenger screenings. And I thought that was bold.
I should have done that. I might have fixed my problem.
We
Anyway,
saw you across the movie theater. We dug your vibe.
I dug your vibe.
Shout out to Cindy and that fucking popular letterbox tweet. Was that Cindy Volpe? Because I saw that.
Oh
Letterboxd
yeah, that was
Was
a
that
thing.
her?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was her! Ah!
Forgot about that.
We like your
friend of
vibe
the show.
from
Anyway.
across the court.
Anyway, final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Tim.
Yeah. Challengers, great movie. I, like Austin, don't really care about sports, and that may have driven me away from most sports movies for a while if they weren't like comedies or whatever. But yeah, this is a great movie. It makes you actually captivated by a tennis game. Who knew that was possible? But yeah, great movie. Great performances. Great score. Great sexual tension. Go watch it. If you're in a committed relationship, watch it with your significant other. Back to you, Tanner.
For the record, I love tennis. Tennis is a sport that I love to put on and watch. I don't actually understand the rules that well, but I do like watching it. Austin, final thoughts.
Tom Holland is probably somewhere crying and throwing up.
He just proposed to her with a $200,000 ring. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
Great movie with a great lesson. Dude's cock, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude's
my
cock
final
in the
thoughts.
shower.
My final thoughts are dude's cock, obviously. But no, brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed, a lot of fun. I do love that tennis, sir. I really enjoyed the movie, and more importantly than anything else, that shot where Art Donaldson's boner gets slapped is so fucking funny. That's the shot of the year, baby. But you know who else has a shot of them slapping a boner?
Will Smith.
Correct. But also you, the person watching / listening to this episode of Bomb Squad Matinee. If you are listening on any of the audio platforms on, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. You're listening. How about you mosey on down, leave a review? It helps boost us in the algorithm or something. I don't know. We don't get that many audio only listeners, but I still value you. And if you are listening, how about you mosey on down over to the Patreon, where the $5 tier gets you access to our commentary tracks. We just released one for 12 Angry Men. We're hoping to record one for Godzilla soon. We have a couple of recorded ones in the tank. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to get Austin on another one of these days. I'm going to actually, you know what? I have a great idea for one I'm going to put Austin on, and I'm not going to tell him what movie it is. This idea just came to head. You'll see that later when it happens, if it happens. But the $5 tier gets you that, and the $10 tier gets you a little shout out at the end of the video. So Tanya Craft, thank you so much for your contributions to the channel, your help making it so I don't lose money on this every month. And God willing, one day I might be able to pay all the wonderful people that make this channel work. And if you are watching on YouTube, thank you oh so very much for watching. How about you mosey on down over the comment section below and let me know, what did you think of Challengers? What did you, who's your favorite performance in the movie? Are you upset that it's probably not going to be nominated for any Oscars? Is the Trent Reznor Atticus Ross score your favorite of 2024? And finally, what do you think they should call the movie that the cucked guy makes about this relationship, love triangle thing? What should they call that movie if it's not Challenging Lives? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so we know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so we know how much you love us. And hit the bell icon so you know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you again oh so very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Tune in next week for an episode hosted by Tim. We are going to be talking about Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim.
Rohirrim.
Yeah, I don't speak Italian. It's going to be a fun episode, so make sure you tune in. We'll see you then. Bye.
Farewell.
They slid my ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."